Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is another story time in makeup, and today's story time in makeup is going to be about Elizabeth Bathory, or better known as the Blood Countess. Now, Elizabeth Bathory has been described as the most vicious serial killer in all recorded history. So that's pretty crazy. Now, in her story, where fact ends and fiction begins, is now impossible to determine. But her fame as a legendary vampire is only outrivaled by Count Dracula. Elizabeth Bathory was born in 1560 to a George Bathory, who was a baron, and a baroness, Anna Bathory. Elizabeth was endowed with looks, wealth, an excellent education, and a stellar social position as one of the Bathory family, who ruled Transylvania as a virtually independent state within the Kingdom of Hungary. As a child, Elizabeth suffered multiple seizures, which may have been caused by epilepsy, possibly stemming from inbreeding within the family. Her parents were first cousins. So at the time, symptoms relating to epilepsy were diagnosed as falling sickness. And treatments included rubbing blood of a non-sufferer on the lips of the epileptic, or giving an epileptic a mixture of a non-sufferer's blood mixed in with skull fragments. This led to speculation that Elizabeth's killings during her or later life were part of her efforts to cure her illness that she had been suffering from since childhood. However, there's no hard evidence supporting this. Another proposal made by some sources tried to explain that Bathory's cruelty later in life was because she was trained by her family to be that way, to be cruel. Stories included a young Elizabeth witnessing brutal punishments executed by her family's officials and being taught by family members that might have been involved with satanic cults and witchcraft. Again, no hard evidence supports any of these claims. Elizabeth was raised as a Calvinist Protestant. As a young woman, she also learned German, Hungarian, Greek, and Latin. When she was 11 or 12, Elizabeth was betrothed to a man named Ferenc Nadasti. He was another aristocrat from another well-known, well-to-do Hungarian family. However, it was said a year or two later that she gave birth to a child by a lower class person, so he was beneath her in class. It was reported that her fiance had the person that got her pregnant castrated and then torn to pieces by dogs. Like, crazy, isn't it? First of all, it's crazy that at a young age, like 11 or 12, or even 13, 14, that she's having children. I mean, I have a child that's around that age. I couldn't imagine that child having a child. The child, when she gave birth to this child, she gave birth to a girl, and it was hidden away from view, and Elizabeth and Nadasti were married in 1575 when she was 14 years old. Because Elizabeth socially outranked her husband took her last name, so she kept her last name, and her husband took her last name of Bathory. I will keep referring to her husband as Nadasti because I don't want to confuse anybody. The young couple did have 4 children together. Her husband, though, was an ambitious soldier, so he wasn't there a lot of the time. So Elizabeth was left to take care of the estate and all the goings-ons that had to do with taking care of multiple castles and multiple people. Elizabeth's husband did end up passing away in January of 1604 at the age of 48. Although the exact nature of the illness which led to his death is unknown, it seems to have began around 1601, and initially caused debilitating pain in his legs. From that time, he never fully recovered, and in 1603, he became permanently disabled. So after her husband passed away, word started spreading around about her sadistic activities. It was said that she enjoyed torturing and killing young girls. At first, they started as just servants in her castles. Later, it spread to daughters of local peasants, and then girls that would come to her castle in hopes to learn good manners and proper etiquette. One thing that Elizabeth did believe was that by drinking the blood of her young victims, that would preserve her youthfulness and her good luck. Witnesses were told of her stabbing victims or biting their breasts, hands, faces, and arms, cutting them with scissors, sticking needles into their lips, or burning them with red-hot pokers. Some girls were beaten to death, and some girls were starved to death. So if you're familiar with Elizabeth Bathory and her story, a lot of times it's brought up that she used to bathe in their blood. That part of the story was added on after the fact, so we're not sure if there's any validity behind it. But it was said that she did bathe in their blood as well as drink it. But it was said that she bathed in their blood as well as drinking their blood. Now, there were 2 court officials that claimed they saw Elizabeth torturing and killing young servant girls. A Lutheran minister went to the Hungarian authorities, who eventually began an investigation on Elizabeth in 1610. In December of 1610, Elizabeth was arrested along with 4 of her servants that were accused of being her accomplices. It is commonly believed that Elizabeth was caught in the act of torture. However, she was arrested and detained prior to the discovery or presentation of any of the victims. The accounts of her being bathed in blood when she was initially arrested have been an embellishment of fictitious accounts. Her accomplices, however, were tried and found guilty. 3 of them were executed, and the 4th was sentenced to life imprisonment. Elizabeth herself was not put on trial. A trial and execution would have caused a public scandal. An influential family which ruled Transylvania would be disgraced, and Elizabeth's considerable properties would be seized by the crown. So because she was of royal blood, she pretty much got away with it. So she was banished to one of her castles and held in solitary confinement in a room where the windows were walled up, and she was not allowed to leave. On the evening of August 1614, Elizabeth complained to one of her bodyguards that her hands were cold, and he told her, just go lie down and rest. The following morning, she was found dead. She was buried at a church, but according to some sources, due to the villagers' uproar, her body was moved to her birth home and she was placed in the Bathory vault. So there is the story of Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess. I hope you enjoyed the story time and makeup. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, as well as the notification bell next to it to be notified of all the upcoming videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.